This is the I Love Success podcast. I'm Peter Chumrukovsky, and I have made a vow to myself to help as many people as possible to achieve their dreams. Let's get started. Hey guys, and welcome back to the I Love Success podcast. I'm grateful to have you here with me today, and this is a special episode. And when I went to the gym this morning, I almost had to pinch myself. And sometimes when you look at these quotes saying if you 5 years ago would have been proud of yourself, and I kind of had that moment because I get to speak with an Olympic medalist today, and I've been able to talk to a lot of these great people and share that journey, and that makes me very humble that they want to come on and share, and that I get to learn from these people. And this is a revisit from somebody that I really enjoy talking to. And this was in the beginning of the I Love Success podcast. I don't even remember which episode we're doing today, but it's more than 310. And back in the day when Dotsie came on my show, it was episode 14. So if you want to check out Olympic silver medalist Dotsie Bausch, go to episode 14 of the I Love Success podcast. And that was recorded in 2017. So we're like 7 years ago. And that's a 90-minute episode just sharing her incredible journey as an athlete going into becoming an activist. Today, we're going to talk about something that I really care about, and that is redefining success. And I think redefining success starts with how you think about what you want. Some people call it goal setting. Some people call it pushing towards the impossible. We all call it different things. And when I emailed Dotsie, I think it was in the beginning of January, she responded to my question about goal setting like this. And I hope it's okay with you, Dotsie, that I read this because I love it. OMG, was that like 10 million years ago or what? No, it was 7 years ago, Dotsie.
Okay, good.
It's so nice to see your name in my inbox. Happy New Year, by the way. And just sorry for interrupting, but reconnect with old friends, guys. This is awesome. And I just was so happy. So today, going to email somebody you haven't talked to in a while, because it will make them happy, and yourself too. And then she wrote, I would be happy to, but I will tell you, I'm much more of a process person than a goal-setting gal. I always disappoint, I think, when I'm on shows and they want to know my goal-setting secrets because I don't have any. And side note from a podcaster who have done 300 plus episodes, facts, there are no secrets. I always disappoint. I think when I am on shows, I already read that, my brain just doesn't shine in that way. I'm much more of do what you love, head down, work hard, accept the defeats, and hammer on towards what you don't even realize at the time might be possible. I think if I set goals, I would set them too low. I like to push towards the impossible, and some days I fail, but other days I reach past what I ever could have imagined. That's what you wrote to me, Dotsie. So let's get started, everybody. This is Dotsie Bausch coming directly from Puerto Vallarta, I believe, where she's currently hanging out. If you're watching this episode, you'll see some beautiful palms. LA is raining today, so I'm a little bit jealous. But yeah, welcome back, Dotsie, first of all.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to be back. I can't believe it was episode 14. Good on you for hanging in there, because having a podcast for the last multiple years, well, first of all, it's rare and it ain't easy. So I'm so glad you're still sharing all this wisdom with all your listeners.
Thank you. I appreciate that. And let's get right into it. So I think this is a very interesting topic because setting goals for the common person, sometimes it might be good to do a regular process. But if you are somebody that are looking to do something that is beyond what your mind can conceive right now, I think you're the right person to talk to. So can you just share, like, what is your process when you start thinking about something that you really want in your life?
Gosh, I think that just in general, especially here well, not in the United States right now, but in the United States, in the first world, we tend to live in a very distracted present, right? And we all tend to focus on the periphery, right, and ignore what's immediately in front of us, instead of finding like a stable foothold. A lot of us end up reacting all the time, and I fall into that as well, right? Like you have your to-do list of the day, and you find out at the end of the day that you were just reacting instead of doing, right? Because just stuff comes up. But I find, and this was true as an athlete, and can kind of lead into, how I goal set, which is living in the present. I find that the distracted present is a really miserable place to spend time. And it can handicap people, and it handicaps me. We also have plenty of studies that show that being a multitasker, we're terrible multitaskers, and it leads us nowhere direct if we're always living in the distracted present and trying to multitask. Our lives are pulling us in so many different directions, except where we are most effective, right? And we're most effective right in the now. And I found for me, both as an athlete and now as an activist, that my flow state that athletes talk about a lot, right? Being in that flow state, or entrepreneurs, or any, doctors, there's a flow state that is an indescribable place to be, where it just seems like everything is coming together and you feel no pain, and it's a joyful, blissful, strange feeling, because you don't experience it that often. But that state that many books have been written about, the flow state, it's always in the present, never future, never past. So staying right in the moment and not thinking about later today or tomorrow or next year, and especially not the Olympic Games, right? Whether they're 4 years away, 8 years away, 12 years away, as they once were for me. It's just as important. And there's a good book out now by Stephen Kotler that's on flow. And he says it's just as important in the now, right? Like I said, there's no past, there's no future, and therefore there's a lot less room for self. And he says those are the 3 intruders most likely to yank us to the then or later instead of the right now. So when I think about what I want to accomplish, too much past today or tomorrow, it takes me out of flow, and I'm not nearly as effective as I could be when I'm outside of flow.
Yeah. No, thank you for sharing that. I think as an athlete, I think like as a martial artist, you have to be in the moment, otherwise you get your ass kicked. But I think that when I'm hearing you say this, I feel like you were also, and correct me if I'm wrong, in a position where you had guidance that you trusted in. And I think that's a challenge that a lot of people are facing today, because if you have a path to where you want to go and you trust that guidance, now you can let go and be in the present. So what advice do you want to give to others? And please correct me if I'm wrong, because I feel the same way. When I have somebody I really trust, my father was my coach. Like I trusted him, and I could focus just on the training. But in new situations in my life, when I don't have that, I tend to be more unpresent, because I'm trying to control the situation and thinking if I'm doing the right thing.
Yeah. Well, as you were saying that, I was thinking about clarity and being very clear and definitive with what I'm doing right now, which is sharing a podcast with you, and how important clarity is. And when we set goals, most people, it's like, okay, I'm going to set a really clear goal, right? And they they tend to focus a lot more on what this big goal is going to be versus the clarity of it.
Yeah.
So big goal, right? Oh, I'm going to be on the Olympic podium. I want to be a CEO one day. I want to win an Academy Award, like these big grandiose thing. And we think that that's the point, right? Like set the big, huge goal, but it's not the point, right? The staying in the clarity of what I want or what I'm after, that gives me certainty. And it helps me because I need that certainty because I know what I'm doing right now. I know I can feel it. I'm in it, talking to you. I'm here, I'm fluid, I'm aware. I'm not thinking about later today or in an hour or now, which makes it so I can give this moment my best. And what are all of those moments of clarity that lead into a big goal? All of those moments are what put you on the top step.
Yeah.
Literally, right? I mean, and there's going to be millions of them by the time you reach whatever your top step is, right? Whatever you think it might be, or however you've created it, in our heads. But when I think about, when I used to think about the top step, or as an activist now thinking about, winning our fight, it's too overwhelming for me, to be really frank. It's too overwhelming for me to think about that big goal. I have to just bring it back down. Okay, if I do this today, this tomorrow, this, then I will see if I am headed towards that goal or not. But I had to chunk everything down to create these tiny little in the moment goals, as little as it may sound. Stay fluid and strong in this 1,500 meter effort, and don't panic in the last 250. Like, I'm just okay, what's going to happen now and in the next, 50 seconds or something like that. Yeah.
You bring it back to what you need to do in this moment, right? And I agree with that totally. Let's talk about belief. So
okay,
you're sharing like, okay, I'm looking, like you've been chasing this impossible dreams that you can't even grasp, right? Which is so exciting. But where does the belief come if I do this today that I might come there, and I'm okay not coming there, but I'm focusing on the now?
I think it's different for everyone, depending on how your life has unfolded. And you remember, well, you may not, it was a long time ago, 2017, but in episode 14, I talked a little bit about my journey to even finding my bicycle. And I was healing from anorexia and a drug addiction and 2 suicide attempts. And so I was not the kid that, when I was 5 years old, my mom or dad put me on a bike and the rest is history, right? So, and I think that would actually be, I've seen so many athletes that's their story, right? They got put in the pool or on the bike or, given the weights or whatever it might be. And the exterior expectations were so great, they were never able to reach their, potential, because everyone was expecting this certain thing out of me. So I had nobody expecting anything in as it relates to Olympics or even at being a professional cyclist. And I really just started falling in love with the freedom of movement on my bike, with really quite literally just riding my bike up Pacific Coast Highway and turning into the beautiful canyons and getting my life back. So it took years for the scope of the Olympic Games to kind of show up in my peripheral, like, and because that's where it was in the beginning. It was like, I think some people were placing it back there, and I was like, I could sort of see the rings a little, but it was still like, I still had the mindset of that's a little ridiculous, and not so much ridiculous. I mean, ridiculous, like, haha, ridiculous, not like I can't do it, but just knowing my story, it was like that would be crazy. But I just kept cycling because I had fallen in love with the sport. And so I just thought, if I can just keep that love alive, then where I'm going to go is where I'm going to go with it. So it wasn't until probably like 3 years out from the Olympic Games in London, maybe a little longer, maybe almost 4 years, that it kind of entered my sphere that this is a real possibility. Like you really have a shot at this. Some of it was because people were telling me that. I don't think I was the first one to say I had a shot. And then so I started to have to open up my consciousness to, am I really going to go for this one thing? You know, it's like this moment in time. We knew the date 4 years out, August 3rd and 4th of 2012. You know, you do it's 3 rides to the gold medal round, and I knew so many details about it, and it just it made it. All it did was make the journey. I don't want to say more meaningful, but big aspirations like that, there's like a little more skin in the game, right? When you've actually said to yourself, okay, I might be able to do this. This might be reality. And that part of it felt different than before, because, and I think I had it easy before, because it was just like I said, I just kept falling more in love with the sport. Then I fell in love with competition. Then I fell in love with my teammates on the U.S. national team. Then it was a lot of hardship too. I mean, obviously it wasn't, but bringing the bigness into the picture brought on a lot of nerves for me, quite frankly. That skin in the game, it started making me very fearful and worried that I was going to disappoint. And that required a whole lot of sports psychology to finally get. I'm writing a memoir, and I've been writing about that because I became a psychological I was a mess. And I didn't start out that way, right? But to your point, this goal, once that big goal came in, I started unraveling psychologically, and I had to get some masterful help, and to be able to go to the start line and not completely just totally freak out and lose my mind.
No, I mean, high performers, we have the curse of becoming obsessed on things.
Sure.
It's not always easy, but I think it's good to talk about this because I mean, I don't know if you read Wall Street Journal this morning, but 19 CEOs actually died in their office last year.
My God.
That's crazy. Like so I mean, so like we have to look at, okay, why do you do something? Where's the joy in doing things? And if you're listening to this and have goals, I think, and I wanted to ask you this because I remember in the beginning of my career as an athlete, I wanted certainty that I was going to win. So I almost told myself, I'm going to win, I'm going to win. And if I didn't win, it was a big failure on me as a human being, not in that competition, because I took it as I'm a bad human being. But the more I realized, the more I'm letting go, the more joy I let in, the better I perform. And also, it's okay not always winning. And I think a lot of people that are setting goals or thinking about dreams, they want certainty. If they can't have certainty, they're not going to go for it because they don't want to disappoint themselves or any other people. So can you just talk through that? And like, how do you train your mind to be okay that it's an adventure? And the whole idea with an adventure is that you do not know what the outcome is going to be.
Peter, I don't know if that's trainable. We have to ask an expert, and you're probably way more of an expert than I am. To me, the people that I have seen that are that way, right, where they're adventure seekers versus end of the road seekers, I think and I'm one of those people for sure. And I think it is maybe part DNA and part life story, or a combination of the two, or one or the other. I don't know entirely. I think I was always really adventurous as a kid. I didn't ever need to know what was going to happen at the end. I just wanted to try something or do something. But again, because of my history and my past, that set me up to be in a state of constant adventure seeking, because I was so excited and grateful that I was alive. it's like the simple stuff, right? You just boil it down to it. Once I really considered myself healed from the anorexia and I wasn't doing drugs anymore, and I had started to ride my bike and move again, and was able to have friends and relationships and work again. I mean, you know, my whole life was gone for about 4 years. You know, it felt like it was stolen from me, but I did it to myself, of course. It just set up a system inside of me to always be seeking that next adventure and seeking like, what's possible, what can I do? And then many times I don't do the thing that I'm headed towards, you know, and I'll be like, I don't really like that, or that's not me, or and here's the key. I am very rarely, I don't want to say never, but because I can't remember a time, but I don't want to say never, disappointed.
Yeah.
Like and I see a lot of people who are disappointed a lot.
Yeah.
In themselves or in others, or their expectations that they have for their husband or their wife or their parents or their best friend or their boss, or and I think a lot of it is from, I think a lot of it is my history, but I don't know how you would teach. I don't know how you teach that, how you teach to seek adventure and not the result only.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I think it comes back to like, you have to come down from the stands and be in the arena and get, you know, get the blood, sweat, and tears, get the reps in, and feel the things, and that's the human experience. And I think us as human beings, we are not perfect, and that's what actually is beautiful.
100%.
Dotsie, I'm going to have two more things before I go into my final thoughts, because I'm going to let you go. We wanted to make this short. I feel I can talk to you for hours, but I want to make this a short episode. So can you just share, like, if for people who are listening here now, they have gone through pain, they are in a new chapter in their life, just that you were at one point, like, but they want to seek adventure. They want to go after the fun stuff. Like, do you have any type of guidance or advice, or just sharing how you did it?
You know, I think that it's the ultimate of seeking adventure is do what scares you. I mean, sign yourself up for something that is scary, whatever that is. Go climb Everest, or because then if you do that and you say, okay, I'm going to do this thing, right? We want to stick with what we said we're going to do. And, you know, that'll make you start to be dedicated to it. And then you have the opportunity then to either have a blast trying to get there, which means you're seeking, you're preparing. Your adventure of preparing is to seek the great adventure of whatever you're scared of and whatever you're signed up for. And then the route to the thing is almost more joyful than the thing, right? Because the route's always going to be longer than the thing, right? Whatever it is, probably. You know, learning how to fly a plane, right? And then finally, it's like, it's so exciting learning. Like when you don't know something and you learn, you know, I mean, think about how it's so fun to be a kid because you're learning something, you know, 5 times a day, right? And then as we get older, we kind of siphon ourselves off and we're not really learning something new every day or even every week or even every month necessarily. And I think that's where a lot of the joy and fun comes in, is well, being sort of kid-like, right? So, yeah, I don't know if that was an excellent answer.
No.
That's what you're looking for, but
No.
that's what came to mind.
No, that was great, Dotsie. And I think our conversation today is raw. Sometimes I love having conversation with somebody that just releasing a book or somebody. It's all the same. Whatever you ask, it's the same answer. It's like, this is raw. So this is great.
Boilerplate, right?
Yeah.
Like that. Yeah.
This it's called bridging, right? You ask one question, you get, but this is real. So let me ask you this before I let you go. So I'm reading a book called The Second Mountain now. I'm not sure if you heard about it. And you
Not
talked
yet.
about being in the moment and joy. And in this book, the author is saying that forgetting oneself is the joy, which means when you're in service and you're climbing onto your second mountain, which you are now kind of from going from being an Olympian to an activist, so which is service. Can you just talk a little bit on like comparing being an athlete, focusing on winning a medal, and now being more in service mode and how that has affected you?
Well, the main difference is being an Olympic athlete is extraordinarily self-serving. I mean, in every way, shape, and form. I don't really love admitting that. But I honestly got sick and tired of thinking about myself. I got towards the end there and I was so over it. I was so ready to jump out of that and just do something for somebody or anybody else, just to have that focus. I remember stepping off the Olympic podium and kissing my husband when I saw him for the first time after we did all the press and all the stuff you do. And I just said, I never want to have another conversation about how my legs feel again in this lifetime. Yeah. We had, because that's a cyclist, right? So yeah. You're always, they're puffy, they're fluid, they're full, they're sore, we have 100 adjectives. And it was like, bleh, like yeah. So sick of this, so self-involved. Who cares? So, and we have not had another conversation about my legs in 12 years. We have conversations about his, because he's still cycling kind of hard, but oh God. So it just, everything changes. I think though, with the activist thing, I have to watch out to not get in, not be egotistical. There's something about service, is service-oriented job, because it is what I do for a job. I run a nonprofit and, I take a salary, where I really have to watch out to not get almost like a God complex. Yeah. And I wasn't anywhere close to that in being an Olympic athlete. This, I have to check myself all the time. And I've really never shared that before, but it is an ugly place to get to if you think you're hot shit and holier than thou, because I'm saving the world and what are you doing? Yeah. Your brain goes into weird places. So I just am always trying to stay hyper aware and noticing that, because I think that's a little bit of a slippery slope and a danger in activism. And I've seen some people let it kind of take over, and it can get kind of ugly. So really keeping the mind in the service. Yeah. In the service, not talking about how great the service is or what you're doing in the service, but actually serving and staying in the work. And that helps a lot to stay in it, right? So there we go, right back to the present, right back to not the distracted present, the real, true, present of right now.
Thank you, Dotsie. And before I let you go, any other final thoughts you want to share with the audience here today?
I hate final thoughts. That's what I want to share. I feel like I'm supposed to say something.
Open-ended question.
There you go. Don't have it right. Like it's supposed to be like something, Martin Luther King-ish or something. And you're like, I don't have that.
Pressure is on.
I know. No, not really, but I am like a total open book, and I love to hear from people. And if anything has resonated, I love to walk with people on their journey. So, I'm here and available and not unreachable like some other people are. So yeah, if anybody needs anything, that's what I'll say to end. I'm awesome. Here.
And where can people connect with you? Where's best?
You can, I am like, well, I'm not like, I am 51. So I am not awesome on social media. I pretty much never check it. So you can email me if you want, like that generation. It's Dotsie@switchforgood.org, and it's switch, the number 4, good.org. That's the nonprofit that I have. So, because I really mean it, if anybody needs any, I don't know, help with their journey or whatnot, or if something we talked about, Peter, they want to dig into a little bit deeper, or if there's any aspiring Olympians out there, yeah, I'm here.
Thank you. And one of the coolest things that I have learned during this journey of the podcast is that some of the hardest workers or people that accomplish great things, they are actually very, very available, because at one point they were, you that are listening to this, they wanted more information, they reached out to somebody. So giving back, it's a joy. So don't hesitate. And that's what, when I did episode 1, was actually with Sky Christopherson, our mutual friend. I decided that I'm gonna ask without answering for other people. And I think that is, if that's a summary or something that I want to share today, if there's something that you want to do, or you want to reach out to somebody or try something, ask, and do not answer for that other person, or go try and don't say it's going to go well or bad. Try, be there in the moment fully and experience life, because it's, you've felt this conversation hopefully today, that we're all still learning, we're all still evolving, and there's no real truth. It's always evolving, and you need to find it within yourself and your loved ones and community.
That is some wisdom right there.
That's it. Thank you for tuning in to the I Love Success podcast. This was a short and sweet episode. I really wanted to talk to Dotsie about this, because it's not the normal kind of answer that sometimes is kind of upsetting. There's 3, if you go and Google 3 things to do that, or 7 things to do that, and then there's like 8 things to do that. So what, 3, 7, so now we're 18 things, or is it just one of those? So you got to figure it out. And the only way to figure it out is to, go through the journey. So that's it, everybody. Thank you so much. If you enjoy the show, please share it with somebody that needs to hear this message. Give us a like, review, share, so we can reach more people. When I started this podcast, I had a big fat goal of helping at least 10 million people to achieve their dreams, and we're working towards that. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you so much.
Incredible.